Well, hey all, and welcome back. So today we have another Matrix Empires Matrix monster. And this is a cat character that is inspired by the Monster Hunter series. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the feline or the cats from the game, but I believe this is a take on that. I believe it's called Yi Yong, and it is a different colorway of a variation of these cats. So first thing I want to talk about is the package design. And one thing that I appreciate that these guys do is a better level of design work as far as packaging goes. So we have this outer sleeve here with this nice illustration, and their drawing style is actually what originally drew me to them when I was looking around online. Basic instructions on the back, talks about age limitations, more illustrations of the different cats on the side. Now I've seen two other variants, but I don't know how widespread some of these other ones were, considering I believe these figures are from 2015. With that said, you can still find these on a few different sources online as well as eBay. So we're going to slide the sleeve out here, and we have a nice box here. Has a little bit of a pattern spackled on it. Some lines here, logo, profile of the cat, and then set it down. And, you know, it's sort of a high-end presentation when it comes to taking these things apart. And we have the cat in display here. And he's got a little helmet. Now, there are a variety of cat colors, as well as different cat armors, and colors of those armors. And each one sort of comes with different gear. Now, while there wasn't a lot of photos and information on what each one comes with, I did know that this one specifically came with this color helmet. So let's go ahead and get this guy out of the box and see if he's worthy of our collection. Now I have him out of the box, and before I go any further, if you hadn't seen my Fiery Dragon review, go ahead and check that out, because that was the previous figure I got in this line, and I liked it so much that I wanted to get a couple more. And that's where we are with this guy. Now, for reference, I do have another version of this same character that was an official Monster Hunter character done by the artist Tuma, who is actually one of my favorite art toy designers. And so you can sort of see the similarities in here. Of course, this is in Tuma style, but you can see how he has this canister, which he also comes with here. He did have a different weapon. It has a mallet, but you can see it uses the same type of helmet, and we have the little visor popped up. But it gives you a little bit of an idea, I believe, how these are supposed to look. I do think that this orange bib does correlate with the orange armor. I'm not entirely sure exactly if that is supposed to be linked, but I think the design inspiration was definitely drawn from that. So I'm going to put him off to the side. And this is a neat guy. We've got the main character here. He's got these little X's on his eyes. He has a tail, and the tail is essential as a tripod so he can stand. It does have articulation though. The hips have ball joints. There is a joint in the knee. It doesn't have a lot of movement, but you can get some decent poses with it. Ball joint in the shoulders, and then it has an elbow joint. And it's all very tiny. I mean, this is a little character, but it gives you an idea of exactly what's going on here. And the head has a ball joint, full look around, and then we do have articulation in this little front piece of the helmet. Now, what is neat about these is sort of how they go together. And you can see here, actually one of the issues, the ears do sort of come apart rather easily. Got a little piece of flash right there. But if you use it as a display piece, it's not that big of an issue. Accessories. One of the things, so this is the can that goes on the back, and the little piece comes up there, and it slides out, and it's actually a soda can. One of the other repaints, you can see the little tab there, has a sort of Coca-Cola looking logo, but it is of the Monster Empire name, but it's a nice little touch. The details on this, it looks like there's a little bit of color transfer from something else, but other than that, it's fine. I think the pieces are right. And the other thing to talk about is this gimmick. So if you look at the eyes here, we have these different eyes we mentioned. If you rotate this wheel on the bottom, you can change the expression from either the cute little eyes or go to the X eyes. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's very minor, but it's nice they thought to touch that or consider that, so you don't have to take the thing apart every time you want to change the eyes. It's just a nice piece of engineering that was incorporated into this. Now let's check this guy out. Mind you, this don't come with instructions. The best bet you've got is going on their Facebook page and kind of looking at the different photographs they've taken. But what I can tell here, this guy essentially comes apart into a lot of pieces. And that is sort of what is the most interesting aspect of these. We do have a plug here, and I don't believe we can get the plug out without taking the body apart. So you have to do that before you can install this. I do like the look of the canister on here, but we can't get to that until we get to the rest of this. Now, as for the weapon, though, make sure you've got the tail ready to support him. The weapon, even though it's not perhaps nice to display on its own, it is a nice feature that they've incorporated by taking it to where you can get this peg off. Yeah, it's just a little tight. So this comes out, and there's a very tiny hole in his hand. And you're able to, or her hand, whichever it may be. I'm not very familiar with the gender of the cats. And then you just work that peg into the hand. And this is all very tight. So the first time you do it, you're going to want to go slow. And I'm using a twisting motion here. So I'll go ahead and do that. And that takes some serious effort. Now you can see here that I have the metal peg going all the way through. The tolerance is so tight on this hand that I would suggest going through as far as you can on the bottom, taking it out, and going through again on the top. Then you should be able to go get it in a bit easier. So that's the first half of that. Then we can take the rest of the sickle, and it just slides on. And then we have our cat with his really cool looking sickle weapon. And I think it's going to be a balancing act with these, considering the size of the feet and having to use the tripod stance. I think if you do more of leaning back, it should work okay. But it's all something to consider. But that's not all there is to this. I mean, we have this really neat looking figure with a decent bit of articulation. Really the whole point of this is the style sense of this and the engineering. So if we go ahead and take the sickle back out. Set that aside. And there's another thing that comes with it. This is actually the only piece of literature. And it's got a QR code on here, the illustrations of some of the other characters, and then the illustration of this cat. And there is a gray variant of this. However, I did prefer this green one. So, as you see here, along with this backpack and the weapon, we have some other components. And one of them being a head. And what's neat about this, and also one of the issues, is it fully disassembles. One thing to know is that these ears come off pretty easily. And you can see there, it's going to be an issue if you want to fiddle around with it, but if you're aware of it, you can just be prepared for them. And then what we are able to do is take this helmet apart. And it splits down the middle. And I'm just going to be gentle with it. And once we get to the middle, we can start working off other pieces. Yeah, just work it slowly. We're able to pull that top part off. And once you get that out, it's easier to get your fingers in there and spread it apart. But as you can see, the kind of pegs they have, sort of how a Gundam model would be. You just don't want to angle those because you don't want to snap them. You want to come directly apart. And I think I can get this apart enough to where I can get it off of the head because it's got a little bit of flex to it. And that's where we sort of get where the other cool factor is to this. So we have the helmet off. And it looks like, okay, it's actually not connected there. You have to get these pegs apart. So just be aware of that. So we have the helmet off, and we have this Robo Kitty head on there. And the whole thing, the face comes off, and then you have these lenses go over the eyes, and you can spin the eyes around for different expressions. So for the X, we have the little cutesy eyes. But I think I like the, I'm not sure which one I like best, but I'll have to experiment with it. So we have this little cyborg cat. Pop the head off. It's on the ball joint. Actually, yeah, we can pop it off. Just want to be careful with it because this whole thing comes apart. We can see the tail. Tail comes off, got the little skeleton Robo Kitty tail in there. Then we have, and I'm kind of have to guess as I go just because there is no literature on this, but I'm assuming the legs might come apart. But before I do that, I'm going to pop the legs actually off. So we've got the ball joint there, because I think it'll be easier to work with. So we've got that. Pop off the arms. And if we can get this head off, just go slow there, then we can take off the bib, and then the body actually can split off. And this comes apart pretty easily on the top, but it's really tight down here. And since I just want to be careful. Okay, so that comes off there, and you can see right there the little plug for the back piece. And we have her little torso. And I'm pretty sure that this is not part of Monster Hunter as far as this little Cyber Kitty goes. But let's put them together and check out his sort of skeleton mode. With the lenses, actually we'll leave the lenses off. And then you can put the ears on. And you can either go with the normal ear, it's the other way, the normal cat ears, or you can pop off all the pieces and have little cyber ears. Now with them like this, I'm pretty sure the legs themselves don't come apart. You see all these panels here and you would think they would, but I almost feel like they're glued. It looks like they're not meant to come off, and I think because of that, it's safe to assume that the legs are the way they're supposed to be. So when we snap those back on there, same with the arms. We have our little Cyber Kitty. Now I do think this would have been better if the arms did come off, but I'm pretty sure that the arms and legs stay the color they are. It still has a nice creepy cyborg look, but like I said, it would be nice had that been a feature that was available. So it gives you an idea. You have this cat that kind of comes apart to put the night parts on, or you can kind of strip it down and have this cyborg cat. It has some sort of fun playability factor with that, plus part swapping. So just like the Wegos, you can pull parts of other ones and put them on this one and kind of mix and match ways that you see fit. So it gives you some more variety of play. Now I think these go between $30 and $50 range depending on the exclusive ones. There was one I really liked that had a fish as a weapon and a fork. However, it was the same body as this one, and I just don't see the point in getting a bunch of the same ones at the price point. I might jump on a couple of the other colorways, but as is, I think this is a pretty cool figure. And I just wanted to bring over the Fiery Dragon from the previous review, and it gives you an idea that this guy is a bit bigger than that. So even though this one isn't, I know maybe, think about $20 more for this larger figure, these are tiny. I mean, we're talking about 3-inch figures, but they're still pretty cool. And I think they scale well, because if you think about Monster Hunter, you sort of have this little soldier or little character fighting these big monsters. So I think they do fit very well. So the price point might be a little throw off. It would have been nice if there was a little bit of die cast in there. I think that would have helped sell these. But as is, just for the collectability standpoint of it and the fun factor, I think they're worth checking out. So if you Google online or check my Instagram, I'll post some more pictures. But like always, let us know below if you think this is worthy of your collection. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.